So this lesson is going to be about the literary term allusion. Allusion is something that we find often in literature, and we are going to discuss what it is and some examples. Please make sure you add these notes to your notebook under the literary vocabulary or English vocabulary, however you named it in the back of your book. First of all, an allusion. The definition is there are 3 different ways to phrase it. Number 1, it could be a word or phrase designed to call something to mind without explaining it in detail. So it's like when you say something and people automatically understand what you're talking about. Sometimes these are inside jokes even. Number 2, it's when you make a reference to a commonly known information to make a person further relate to a topic. So it's when you're trying to explain something, so you say, make reference to something else so they can really understand the situation. Or number 3, to provide shared cultural reference points for readers and listeners. So that means something that everybody in your culture typically understands and can relate to. So now I'm going to explain what this all means through examples. The 3 most commonly used allusions, in no particular order, are Bible, so like biblical references or biblical stories or characters from the Bible, people from the Bible, however you want to say it, stories from the Bible, anything biblical. The next one is Greek mythology. So these would be characters of Greek mythology. This would be maybe stories of Greek mythology or anything to do with Greek mythology. And lastly is Shakespeare. Shakespearean references tend to be very used as most people read Shakespeare in high school and are required to do so, so therefore most people understand these references. Allusions are used everywhere. So here's an example. Taylor Swift's song Love Story. She says in the lyric that you were Romeo and you were throwing pebbles and my daddy said stay away from Juliet. So it's easy to see that she is referencing or making an allusion to Shakespeare, Romeo and Juliet. It shows us that we can understand that the love between these 2 people is forbidden, just like Romeo and Juliet's was. Another example. A song by Kelsea Ballerini is called Peter Pan. The lyrics say, you'll never grow up, you're never going to be a man, Peter Pan. This reference shows that her boyfriend is immature and refuses to grow up like Peter Pan, as Peter Pan is a children's story that most people know about where the adult will not grow up or chooses not to grow up. Some other familiar allusions. When someone references somebody being like Medusa, we can kind of understand that they're saying that they're mesmerizing. If someone says that she has a Mona Lisa smile, it's almost like a reference saying that she's smiling, but we don't know how she's actually feeling. As if you've ever seen the Mona Lisa, it's not a very great smile. Chocolate is my kryptonite. Well, kryptonite is a reference to Superman. Superman's kryptonite, meaning what is his weakness? So saying chocolate is my weakness. Another thing to note is that Family Guy, The Simpsons, even South Park, they tend to use literary allusions often. And for example, when you're watching these cartoons, I guess if you'll call them cartoons, these animated series, they will sometimes make reference to literary stories. I can think of one off the top of my head. When you're watching Family Guy, they have a reference to Of Mice and Men, which we will read later in the school year. I don't want to show you that right now because it'll ruin the story, but later down the road, I will show you that allusion and it will make a lot more sense. So, allusions, these are things that we use all the time. It's when we are trying to get people to understand what we're saying without having to explain it.